Buddy, welcome back. This is episode 2 of Technique Critique. I am Darren Starr, coach, host of the Drop Set podcast, 5starphysique.com. You can check me out. I'll have links up on screen throughout the whole thing if you want to see more about me. But enough about me. Let's get to why we're here, which is breaking down videos from clients of mine used with their permission so that we can learn. A lot of these, I gave these clients feedback already. A lot of them were great. A lot of them we had a couple of tweaks. It's pretty rare that I'm going to show you anything that's just atrocious here. Say, hey, I'll buy you a cookie if you let me use that video, right? So, because usually people don't want to see, like, people don't want their just embarrassing mega fails put on display for the entirety of YouTube, but sometimes it might happen. So stick with me on that and we'll see if we can get anything cool. Today we've got 5 videos lined up. We're going to watch all these and see what we've got. Okay, so here we have David, and he is going to be doing a single arm straight arm pull down. Generally speaking, I like his setup here. So he's back from the cable stack just a little bit, bent forward at the hips a little bit. One thing that I told him that I'd like to see him do here is a little bit more stretch right there. So really, if you might need to bend forward just a little bit more, but you want that arm up in what's really gonna amount to like an overhead position. If you think you're just standing up tall, stick your arm straight up overhead. You kind of want it in that same position here just to get that really good stretch in the lat. Also, he's being a little explosive on a couple of these reps. Generally, I want the weight low enough so that you can have good, smooth, continuous motion, almost like you're kind of lifting in slow motion. You'll hear me say that a lot if you watch these videos. What we want to do is just overall develop your skill at lifting. So do everything as mechanically perfect as you can, and then once you get a really good connection with an exercise, then we can start to fudge things a little bit. But don't race ahead to that part. Like really get your mechanics perfect. Like try and feel it, not just in the contraction or the squeeze right there. Keep that tension in the negative. Maintain tension on the concentric as well. Don't treat the concentric just as a point A to point B kind of exercise. Like as you're going from here down, like keep that tension in the lat while you're moving as well. The reason why we're doing a straight arm pull down here, single arm, straight arm pull down, is, first of all, variety is good. It's every bit as valid as a bilateral straight arm pull down with like a straight bar. You can take the divide and conquer approach here, and if you're struggling with proprioception or mind-muscle connection on a certain exercise, if you just do one side of the body at a time, it gives your brain half as much to think about, and it can help deepen that connection if it's a movement that's kind of new-ish, not super comfortable, not super familiar, or just one that you kind of struggle with. Like, yeah, I can do this, but it's kind of hard to really feel that connection here. Another reason why you might want to do something single arm isolateral, maybe on the tail of a bilateral series of reps, like let's say you do a bilateral dumbbell curl. You're standing there, both arms together, you hit failure. If you then go and start alternating reps, you can usually hit another couple of reps just focusing on one arm at a time. You can usually kind of cheat the torso towards that side, bang out another rep, go to the other side, get another rep there, maybe another 1 or 2 on each side. So it can kind of be a set extender in that way as well. His overall mechanics here, I really dig. Not a lot here that I would pick apart. You want that stretch. I think on his final rep here, he kind of gets stuck and gives it a little bit more oomph going down, maybe last 2 reps. Really thinking about some life choices right there. So I like finishing the rep there. The alternative would be you just like, nope, and ass out on the rep early and end the set early. Get the extra work that you can. Keep it as smooth and clean as you can at the same time. I want it all. So overall, though, that looks pretty dang sharp. I dig it. Okay, next up we've got Chelsea here in the lying leg curl. Some of these machine things, I get a lot of these videos from people, I'm like, yeah, all right, it looks good. And the first question that I always ask is, how does it feel? Because something like this can look good, but if it doesn't feel like the contraction is there, it feels like, God, my calves have a lot of tension in them. I feel like they're taking over. That can be a problem. Like mechanically, this looks correct. On a lying leg curl, I'm always thinking about, are the calves carrying too much of the load? Maybe we need to reduce the weight a little bit. This looks pretty good. Like you can kind of see the hamstrings are popping there. You can also see there is an adjustment point on the machine right here. If my mouse cursor is showing up, I think it might be, where you can kind of adjust where that pad sits on your ankle, Achilles area. If you have that down towards closer to the shoe, it's gonna basically increase the moment arm on this exercise. It's gonna make the weight a little bit heavier. So I always tell people, like, try and find the most difficult version of an exercise that you can perform. So that down just a little bit further is going to be a little bit more difficult. That's good. With something like this, it depends on how the weight on the machine scales, like how much is an increment. It looks like this Cybex machine has the little turn dial there that goes up in 5-pound increments, which is good. If you didn't have that and you were stuck, like there's a, God, what was it, an Atlantis machine, I think, in the gym that I go to regularly that's a line curl, only goes up in 15-pound increments, doesn't have, like the machine is blocked off so you can't even use like the pin and throw a 5-pound plate in there or anything like that. It's 15 pounds, that's it. So what you could do if going like the next weight increment up is too much, you can adjust that pad, and if you move it up on your leg a little bit more, you can make that a little bit easier. So maybe you take the next increment up in weight, but you move that pad a little closer in just to make that higher weight a little closer to doable. You're kind of playing with fire with that just because you want to be able to log those changes so you know how the machine was set up, and you'd have to note like, okay, well I went up in weight but I adjusted the pad, and that's a lot to write into a logbook. So I don't know that I would mess with it too much, but if you're really stuck and you want to increase a little bit, you could do that. I would also say you can just stay at the same weight and do a couple extra reps, maybe throw in some partials towards the end if you really want to add a little bit more oomph and emphasis there. Chelsea's doing a great job though of getting really good knee extension right there. Smooth movement all the way up to a good degree of knee flexion there. You can't really flex the knee any more than that because the machine starts to get in the way. So that looks pretty fantastic across the board. Okay, here we've got my man Marc in the Smith machine. So Marc, we've been through a little bit here to get to this point here, and there were several videos in this series that he sent me. I picked this one. They all kind of look the same to me. He's playing around with different weights. He's giving me comments about what feels more or less productive. So generally speaking, I really like this. There's a couple of things that I would comment on here for his form. Marc is kind of like me in that he's got a shoulder that's giving him some fits, so we're kind of playing around with that and trying to keep it happy while we do this. So if that's the case, I'm always going to advocate for either machine work or Smith machine work at an incline as opposed to free weight work with a barbell. Just because, think of it this way, if you're doing a barbell press, there's only one way you can really do that correctly. Like that bar has to be over top of your center of gravity. It has to be above your shoulder. If it's too far in front of it, too far behind it, the bar is going to come forward or come crashing backwards. On the Smith machine, you can bias it a little bit because if the Smith machine weighs a ton, it's not going anywhere. So you can get like kind of behind the movement. You can kind of get out in front of it. You can micro adjust your shoulders a little bit so they're a little bit more tucked under. They're a little bit more lifted so that you can find that really good, comfortable position and carriage for your shoulder and kind of adjust it in a way that you can't do with the free weight. So I will play around with this because I have a shoulder impingement on my right side, and if I find the exact right position for a Smith machine press, it feels great. I'm not pushing a ton of weight, but it feels super productive. It's about this much weight realistically. And so sometimes I'll like do that first rep. I can kind of feel it catch a little bit. So I just turn that into a partial rep. I press back up. I'm like, nope. Like arch the back a little bit more, lift the shoulder a little bit more, get the shoulders tucked under a little bit, pinch those scapula back, and let's try it again. There we go. Now it's locked in. Those are adjustments you can't necessarily make with a free weight, with a barbell exercise or with a dumbbell press. So just the stability of the Smith machine, the fixed movement path, it gives you flexibility to do that. Now, Marc, if assuming his shoulder feels good, I'd want to see that bar get down to the chest on every rep. Notice he's really controlling the negative and he's not exploding up. It's a really good, smooth, concentric push. And what I'd want him to focus on there is like great tension in the pecs, like arch your back more, lift that chest up higher. Think about raising your chest up towards the ceiling. Visualize that, and as you push forward, you can kind of see it happen a little bit as well. As the pecs get shorter, they kind of push against the shirt, you can see everything rise a little bit there. Focus on that. It looks like the engagement's pretty good here. Pretty happy with that. As far as proprioception, like Marc struggles sometimes with his delts kind of taking over, and he's just struggling to feel it in the pecs. So I'm always going to be on the side of urging him to slow down, use a little bit less weight. You know, the slow push on the concentric as opposed to being explosive. Again, feel that tension through the whole range of motion. There's no secrets here, but that's one of those things where, especially when you're doing some kind of a press, ego tends to get in the way and you want to go too heavy, and heavy's all well and good until it's not. And then we've got to reset the movement. Just think about when you're doing these exercises. This is a chest exercise. is your chest getting the fatigue, or are you feeling it more in the shoulders? We always want to make sure that we're biasing towards the muscle group that we're trying to work here. Now, shoulders are going to get hit a little bit. Your triceps are going to get hit a little bit as well. Honestly, your abs should be pretty tired by the end of this set as well, because they should be flexed to help keep the spine rigid at the same time. So a lot of stuff going on here, but we want most of the work and most of the fatigue being felt by the pecs. Okay, and here we have Jade. I'm not gonna lie, I included this one largely because this is just absolute perfection. This is a close grip pull down, and she crushes this thing so hard, like I can't really find, there's one thing on this I wanna point out that's maybe anything less than perfect, but it's like barely less than perfect. So note, good, steady pull, chest stays up, tension on the negative. The only criticism I have is right there, like that last 20%, she kind of loses tension on the negative a little bit and just kind of releases and lets the shoulders go into more of a dead hang, which is fine. You want to get there. If you can maintain that tension through that full range of motion, like it's one of those things like you don't even really realize it's happening until you go and watch the video back. You're like, oh yeah, I guess I can kind of see that a little bit. Like even on these last reps here, she's not letting the chest drop down. She's keeping that back arched, like neutral, but a little past neutral, just a little bit more arched, chest up a little bit more towards the ceiling. That's perfect. You know, some people will say, you know, you shouldn't lean back on this exercise at all. And to which I would say, great, please tell people to build these machines differently then, because you kind of need to, unless you want to scoot your butt so it's way back, like not even really on the seat. Like she's firmly on the seat right there. And then if you want to pull this thing down, you have to lean back. You know, I have seen form sticklers say, never lean back on a straight arm pull down. So, okay, so what, you want me to do this then? You want me to pull down in front of me like this? I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you get the idea. Like if you want to pull that down and keep it close to the shoulder rather than like forcefully push it out in front of the shoulder, which would just be dumb, like you got to lean back a little bit. So accept that. It's part of it. But this looks so fantastic. It's clearly a good weight. You can see, yeah, there was just a little tiniest hint of some rounding at the thoracic spine. Let me back that up and take a look at that real quick. I wonder, can I get super fancy and like, can we watch this in slow motion really quick? I think I can do it. Here we go. So for these last reps, right there. So you can see her spine is, I mean, the shirt's in the way, but you can kind of infer just by watching the rep as well. Chest drops just a little bit, back rounds forward just a little bit. That's the body trying to recruit the abs to help pull this weight down. You want to avoid that. She's just got a little bit of it here on this final rep, which is the right time for it. So it's like right as things are breaking down, it's the last rep, cool. It looked like, you know, gun to her head, she might have had another rep in the tank. It wasn't going to be as pretty as that one probably. Like that's a good hard set and really freaking good form at the same time. Okay, and finally here we have Trish, and she sent this to me as kind of like a, hey coach, what do you think? We just got this belt squat, and I'm still in slow motion mode here, hold on. Let's fix that. Normal speed, thank you. We got this belt squat, what do you think? And so this is her kind of trying it for the first time, just testing it out, seeing how it works. And what you can see here, I'm gonna see if I can pause it here, right? Wait for it, right? There, you see it? So this piece of the machine in the center hits this little peg down here. It's like a bailout peg or something like that. And so the machine is bottomed out at this point. So I would say, you know, I don't know anything about this machine, what brand it is. I haven't seen this one before, so I don't know how it's built, how it's designed or constructed or anything like that. But what I would say here is, okay, is that peg designed to be breakaway? Like, can it be kicked out of position because, or it doesn't look like it can be shortened. It looks like maybe you could raise it up a little bit. I can't really tell, but it doesn't look like it goes down from there. It might be hinged to where you can kick it forward and get it out of the way. I don't know. Otherwise, what I would say is you bring in some blocks or some steps to put your feet on so you can get greater depth and not be bottoming out on the machine. Now, look at, she's out of frame just a little bit here, but you can kind of see what the knee and hip angle is. Like the knee angle is about 90 degrees. The hip angle looks like it's a little more acute than 90 degrees. I'm having to infer a little bit. I can't see her hips. You know, for something like this, I would say that's pretty good depth, but I'd want to get down there and I don't want you to bottom out. Like I still want there to be tension at the bottom of the movement. So elevate your feet or kick that thing out of the way just to make sure that we can get good depth and not have that thing interrupting. Like you don't want to be like, okay, good rep, good rep, good rep. And what's that? Oh, I hit the bottom. Okay. It's just distracting if nothing else. So we'd want to eliminate that as a potential barrier. And then we can play around with like, I'd want to get her a little bit more in frame, see if this is the right foot positioning, see if it's the right stance. On something like this, a belt squat is typically going to be posterior biased. So you can see like her knee is way back behind her toe. It's like, her shin, her lower leg is pretty much vertical. If you're going to do something more quad based, like knee over toe is one of your leading indicators for something that's more quad based. So if you have the opposite of knee over toe, which would be like knee behind heel, that's really like, really, really glute focused. So this is really more of a glute driven exercise, which is fine. Oftentimes in programming, what I'll offer for clients is I want them to get a quad based squat pattern or a posterior based squat pattern. This would be a posterior based squat pattern. A quad based squat pattern would be front squat, hack squat, forward facing V squat or power squat, narrow stance Smith machine squat, plate elevated squat, something like that. So this would be a good opportunity for a posterior focused squat. I like it. I think there's good potential here. It's just the machine is kind of in the way of itself. And honestly, it doesn't need to be. Like, I'm not really sure what purpose that thing serves. I mean, I understand the design behind it, but I'm not sure it's really doing much of a job here, right? So, yeah, or why it has to be so high. Like it could very easily be lower than that. So I'm wondering if it's also movable. I'm not sure. But again, just bringing in honestly, even if you bring in bumper plates, that might work. It looks like that's kind of a diamond plated foot plate that she's on there. So you have to consider whatever you're bringing. Does it have enough friction to not slide around on that thing? Whatever you bring to stand on, make sure it's got enough friction so that it's not sliding around there. So, if that's like cheap plastic coated, which God, I hope it's not, or if it's like thin aluminum coated or something like that. If it's steel, a bumper plate should stick to that. Rubber on steel has pretty good coefficient of friction. So God, I love it when the fact that I went to engineering school actually pays off and I can sound smart in a video. It's pretty rare that it happens, but there you go. Coefficient of friction. For all the geeks out there, that is the Greek letter mu in the alphabet. I remember that too. Yeah. What has very high coefficient of friction? Rubber on concrete, which is why tires on roads work so well. There you go. Fun factoid of the day. So generally speaking, I think there's a lot of potential here. I think Trish could probably use this going forward. I guess we could watch the rest of this. She only does a couple of reps here. Again, this was just sent as like a preliminary, hey coach, check this out. What do you think about this? And I think there's potential here, but I told her it's like, yeah, let's see if we can get that elevation figured out here and get a little bit more leverage under the feet. So there we have it. That is Technique Critique Episode 2. I hope you got something out of that. Certainly, if you got some utility out of this, like the video, you can leave a comment. Tell me what you want to see going forward. If there's specific exercises that you want me to break down, let me know. Also, there is a possibility if you want to send me some of yours, reach out, let me know, and I will get you some contact information so you can send that over. And we might use it in an upcoming episode. If you're new to the channel, you can subscribe. If you are a returning subscriber, hey, thank you. You're awesome. You can check out my website, 5starphysique.com, read all about my coaching services, look at workout programs. You can check out the Drop Set podcast. I just recently posted episode number 238 yesterday, where I covered many topics, including a good discussion of what is optimal versus what is practical in bodybuilding as it relates to training, diet, and a whole host of other things. Had some good listener questions that we dove into and a couple of other topics as well. So you can listen to that wherever you find podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Castbox, whatever. It's everywhere. So it's been around since 2016. Like I said, episode number 238. It's not new, but if it's new to you, great. Be part of the family. Love to have you on board. Otherwise, that's all I got for today. So thank you for watching. Everybody train hard, stay safe, be good.